Break it down. Let's drop the beat. Beat. Let's get you healed up. Let's get you healed up. Healed up. Healed. Healed up. Yeah, let's move it, people. Yeah, let's move it, people. Yeah, let's pick it up. Lucio coming at you. Coming at you. Yeah, time to heal up. Oh, turn it up. Turn it up. Turn it up. Turn it up in my headphones. My headphones. Turn it up in my headphones. Audio medic. Audio medic. Audio medic. Move to the beat. Boost. Oh, this is my jam. Time to accelerate.
And we are live, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Off the Wall. It's your boy, Dazzle167. I'm coming to you live on Twitch now, right? Now, for everybody who doesn't know yet, this is Off the Wall. We're going to be a talk show, podcast type of show where we're going to talk to members of the Xbox One community. We're also going to be talking to PS4 people as well, specifically for the game of Overwatch. This show is powered by CGL Console Gaming League. So we're going to be talking to prominent members of that community and the competitive ladder as well as Overwatch. Today, we have a very, very special guest. We have one of my personal friends, also top 500 tank, main tank for Revitalize, Season 5 rival tier champion, and main tank for Kinetics of that team. I'm talking about the man, the myth, the living legend, Dizzywhitelaw. Say hello to the people, Dizzy.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Twitch chat.
Hey, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. So let's get into it. Let's talk about what we're gonna be here for. So just so everybody understands like what our whole deal is, this is a show for the community, right? So eventually people who are watching, people are gonna see this. You have a possibility to be in this chat, right? You have a possibility to be in the show. This show is for everybody. I want everybody to be included in here, right? So you might be able to be a future guest if you saw this show being on Twitter. Check it out. Go check out some of the stuff that I posted. Check out the CGL Discord, Kinetics Community Discord down low. There's a link, all of that good stuff. So check that out as well. All right, so let's talk about a few things. So we have Dizzywhitelaw. He's a really good friend of mine. A little backstory on my behalf, right? I've known Dizzy for, I don't know, how long do you think? Like a year?
It's probably a year now. Because when I first joined Kinetics, it was like, I think it was like just before January. It was like December or January. Because we joined CGL back then it was known as OXC. We joined the OXC around January, and we were competing then.
Yeah. Now, here's a little backstory about it on my side. So I was looking for a tank, right? And I found Dizzywhitelaw through our Guilded app, and I tried him out. And needless to say, I mean, everybody who tried him out on the team at the time agreed the same thing. We all said, wow, this guy is amazing. And at the time, Dizzy was a diamond player, right? I mean, I think you had a career high of like, what was it? 3.3.
During that time, it was 3. Yeah, it was 3.3. That was my season high.
So 3.3, exactly. So 3.3 was your career high. So at the time, yeah,
now
and
it's like 4. Now I'm up to 4.2.
Yeah, it's been a journey. It's been a journey. I've seen you grind, and that's what I was trying to get to, is that I saw you as a tank. And here's the thing: like, a lot of people talk about how, oh, you know, it's so difficult to climb the ladder, and you know, I think you're one of those people that we saw so much potential. Like everybody in the tryout was like, dude, Dizzy is a beast. Like, I don't understand why he's diamond. I think that was literally something that was said during the tryout. Like, why is this man diamond? Let him be masters already. You know, so like we all knew that at some point you needed something. So as soon as that happened, as soon as we got you in, you know, and you started playing with us and scrimming with us, you eventually got up there with, basically just get up to masters, right? I mean, it didn't take very long. As soon as you knew you had a good team behind you that could play comp with you, you rose really fast. Like, I think one day to another, it was like, hey guys, I'm 3,700. I was like, where'd this guy go? he just
some days there'd be like a gradual increase of like 50 to like 80 SR. Other days it was like 200 to 250 sometimes. And like, as golden as that all sounds, like, it's not as pretty as it sounds sometimes.
Yeah, obviously there was a lot of hard work that came into it, right? There was a lot, you know, you worked really hard. And at the time, a lot of people don't know this, like, because obviously people have seen you through CGL and they've seen you, you know, casted and everything. But at the time, you were a diva main. Like, that's how you came to us. You were like, oh, I play diva. And you were probably one of the best divas I had played with at the time, because you peeled for support, which as a support myself, I absolutely loved. I remember there was one time we were on Route 66. I still remember it because it was like the first time that I was like, man, this is a tank who actually protected me. I was about to get destroyed by something. I think it was a Pharaoh. I don't know, something that was bursty damage, and I was caught, and I was like, oh, I'm dead. And little did I know, right behind me was a diva with the defense matrix, just eating everything up. And I was like, I'm alive. How did that happen? And since then, I was like, this guy peels for supports. Like, in that elo, I had never seen that before. It was either like, oh, Lucio died. Oh, well, sorry, Lucio. So that was a big thing for me. So I want everybody to know, what is your gaming history? Let's go all the way back to the beginning. Like, where did you start? What was the first thing that you played? How did you, what type of games were you playing?
We're gonna have to throw back a while, because I started playing video games. At least my first console was the PlayStation 2. It was PS2, playing stuff like Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, and all those games. That's where it started.
Can't beat that.
And throughout the years, it just sort of evolved. Like around, I would say, I could give exact dates, but we'd be here all day.
Yeah.
Pretty much around like between 2009 and like 2014-ish, I got an Xbox 360 and played like Call of Duty, FIFA, and like all those games.
Yeah.
Pretty much the typical sports games and the Call of Duty titles and all that. So
obviously competitive games were important to you, right? Like, obviously.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely a competitive player in general. Yeah. Like, you could even, like, me and my cousins, whenever they come over, we usually have a FIFA tournament and we joke around and are really competitive and play all that. And then I looked into, and then when I got a laptop, I think this is, I don't even remember. I think it's like 2011. I downloaded Hearthstone and played Hearthstone. And then when I got into Hearthstone, I started playing that a little seriously. I wanted to do tournaments, but during that time, I didn't really have means of access to get some stuff that I needed to get to be able to compete in these tournaments, and to also get like decks and cards and all that to be able to compete in these tournaments.
Sure.
And play throughout them. And plus, since most of them are like LAN sort of tournaments and none of them are, at least during that time, they were all LAN tournaments, I didn't really have a means of access to get there and get back. But I would really say, like, and that's sort of how I got introduced to Blizzard, because I played Hearthstone and then I gradually moved into World of Warcraft and messed around in there a little bit.
So you were a Blizzard fan, basically, because like for somebody like me, I never tried a Blizzard game. I always wanted to try World of Warcraft because it seemed like a cool game, but I didn't really know much about Blizzard. I wasn't really a PC gamer. I was almost exclusively Xbox, so I didn't really get a chance to dive into those types of games. But you had that experience. So when Overwatch came out, what was your first thought about the game? Like, after seeing it, like, whatever capacity you saw it.
During that time, I was playing CS:GO and playing Hearthstone still. Mm-hmm. And obviously I saw like commercials for it, and I was like, oh, this looks like a neat game. Let me try it out. Beta got dropped like April. I think it was, I don't remember when. April 2016. And so I played the beta. I had so much fun with it, and I ended up buying it 2 months later after it got released in June for my birthday. I ended up buying it then and playing it till now, and the rest is pretty much history. 2 years of my life is playing Overwatch.
Yeah. So, I mean, and depending on how you look at it, you're either really, really driven or a masochist. Who knows? You could go either way, honestly.
Or I'm just there to meme.
Or you're there,
one of the three.
Or you're there
one
to
of
meme.
The three.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, so my next question is, like, what do you think when you first started the game, right? What was the first character you played, and what led you to eventually playing tank?
So the first Now, I know people are gonna rip me for this one. The first character I actually played was Hanzo. I ended
Okay.
up play I ended up messing around with Hanzo and Genji during um quick play because it was DPS and it was like, okay, this
Sure.
is a character that I can have fun with.
Yeah.
And then as I and then like competitive got released, I played that first competitive season just playing a bunch of different characters, not really setting myself to one specific hero to play or climbing specifically because I was like, well, I'm playing on console, so why should I take this as seriously as I think I should?
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
I sort of took a step back after I looked at everything that happened over that first competitive season. And during this time, watched a little bit of like pro streamers play it, and I watched quite a few um, tank streamers during this time as well.
Okay.
So what ended up happening was your typical like I watched early XQC just because it was hilarious. He was toxic and everything was just a
Yeah.
meme.
Yeah.
I watched Emong because I had watched Emong
Okay.
before when he played CS:GO and all that. So I
Oh,
followed him
you
over.
okay? So you were an old school fan of Iman because the first memory I had of Iman was when he was on Selfless with the Fran. That was the first memory I had of
Yeah,
him. But you went all the way back to CS:GO, so you knew him from back then.
yeah.
Okay.
And I was in and out of his chat usually, but like I watched those typical tank streamers that
Okay.
played, and I just sort of and I looked at it and I looked at it, I was like, okay, so DPS are mechanically demanding, and I'm not a very aiming type of player. I don't like to aim, just sort of like to be in the thick of things. And then
Yeah.
support, I don't really like caring for others that much. So I was like, tank seems like the general
Yeah.
consensus.
Okay. So basically the idea is and I get this from a lot of tanks too is that like you felt like during the game you felt like you had more game sense to offer than mechanical skill, right? So like you tried to play characters that suited that play style. You know, obviously Reinhardt and Diva
Yeah,
and things that were just bulky and could just take a lot of damage, but like were really important to the foundation of the composition, right? So that they had to be at the
yeah,
center of it, right? And it took more game sense to play those characters than it is to like play a hit scan or a projectile character. So I mean,
yeah.
that's basically it, right? Like,
I'm not saying like all the other roles they take some sort of game sense and some sort of mechanical skill, but in my opinion, tanks seem to be the most game sense demanding because not only do you need to be thinking about what you're doing, but you also have to think about what your counterpart is doing in terms of like with the Reinhardt battles, you have to think of, okay, how close is he to shatter and how close am I to shatter?
yeah,
If he has shatter, can I play more aggressive with the Zarya bubble, or should I play more passive and see if I can bait the ult and
yeah,
all that? So I would say, but like characters like Diva and Zarya, they take a lot more, I would say, thinking and processing because you need to be able to have your defense matrix available for like Zarya grabs, all and like any sort of DPS ult that can be eaten, like Soldier, Pharah, Hanzo, and all that. And with Zarya, it's bubble management and how to keep your main tank alive, but also keep your team alive as well, so then you don't lose the fight inevitably.
so yeah, so it's like a thinking man's character, right? You have to be in the right position. You have to, look at your cooldowns. You have to do all of that stuff. All right, so let me ask you this. So when was the first time you started to realize how that role or that character, depending on how you went about it, like when did it click for you? Oh, okay, now I'm kind of grasping how to play this character. Like now I kind of understand.
It was pretty quick, I would say, like around season between like middle of season 2 when I was really getting into it and playing Reinhardt, and then like I'd say by like beginning of season 3, I had a full grasp on tank in like on Reinhardt and a couple other main tanks as well because during that time you only really had Reinhardt, Winston, and that was it because you had a bunch of off tanks and then only a couple main tanks. So you
Okay.
just sort of it was easier to learn main tank during that time because you either played dive and you just dove the enemy team, and when they ran anti-dive, you just ran Rhine and you just sort of bullied your way through them. But I would say
Okay.
it was a pretty fast adaptation because season 2, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna focus on climbing too much, but instead I'm gonna focus on learning characters that I can use to climb and use to my advantage to climb.
Okay. So yeah, so it was a progressive thing, like basically, but
Yeah.
it wasn't like immediate, but you definitely took your time to learn the character and stuff like that. So what so here's my next question. So obviously you're really well known for Ryan. Like I initially knew you as a Diva main, but like during the CGL, during our time in Kinetics, you were probably some of the casters' favorite Reinhardt. I mean, I know Salt and Pepper for sure loves some of your Reinhardt play. I mean, you had some incredible shatters. You had a lot of things that went really well for you. What was it about specifically about Reinhardt that you knew you had to like grasp or that you liked? You know, because obviously you're not gonna play a hero that you don't like. Obviously, you wanted to be a tank player. And you knew he was kind of meta, but like, what was it about Reinhardt specifically that you knew you could dominate with?
I'd say with Reinhardt specifically, like it was easier to carry in terms of, especially on ladder, because we're talking about last CGLC. So during this time, it was really like focused on goats heavy comps and like tanky comps, and basically the DPS was pretty much Reinhardt or like Diva. Not that Zarya couldn't frag, but it was just more generalized because Reinhardt, you're able to. It's sort of like a combo of, I would say, if you took like Brig now, Brig is sort of the equivalent to Reinhardt. It's a DPS, but I would say even though it's a support, it's a DPS and tank as well. But it's pretty much like I was messing around with Reinhardt. I was having fun. It was just sort of like I was able to run into the enemy team, and some of them would get confused and didn't know why. And like I couldn't really be stopped because if you have a Zarya that's able there to support you, and even with supports, like if you have an Ana now, or even like Lucio or back then Mercy and Zen to keep you alive, it was pretty. You can't just stop tanks generally if they're getting pocketed. Like I would say it's harder to kill a tank that's pocketed than it is to kill a DPS that's pocketed.
So there was a sense of invincibility with the character, right? Like you felt like you could frag out if you had the correct support and you were doing well. That's cool. I mean, I feel like that's definitely something that a lot of Reinhardt players like about Reinhardt is that he's such a big character and he's so like imposing on the field. So I know you play Reinhardt really well. Is Reinhardt your favorite character? What's your favorite character in Overwatch?
I would say my favorite character would have to be,
like, you don't have to know how to play it. Like you just somebody who you can, it can be somebody who you don't know how to play, but who's your favorite?
Well, throwing it back to when I was playing the game generally when I first joined Kinetics, it would definitely have to be Diva, just because Diva was, at least during that time, the meta wasn't Ryan heavy. It was more dive heavy. Diva was that character that I could take and still frag with and sort of style, if you know it, and just style on people, really.
And Diva, I mean, now Diva is still in meta, and obviously she's still very strong. Even with her defense matrix now, that's gotten reworked, and but back then, I mean, I don't know if people remember all the way to like the earlier seasons. Diva was really unstoppable. Like it didn't matter if you had a mobile comp or if you were doing deathball. She was just so unstoppable that it was just hard to deal with, right? I mean, she had so much, and this is before her missiles, right? This is before all of that stuff.
Back then, her defense matrix was a lot more. So when
she could just
eat
like, stuff, like
she
constantly.
could literally. Her defense matrix, it took a good, I would say, 15, 20 seconds to get rid of.
Yeah.
And that's with just holding the button. Like,
yeah.
And like that was back during the time when people generally said, like, when dive was a thing and you really had to keep your Winston alive because he was most of the damage, along with diving in with the Genji and the Tracer. And it made keeping teammates alive a lot easier, like supports and all that. And because back during that time you had Mercy, Zen, and Zen was a really immobile character, and he still is, and you sort of had to turn around and help him, so it was easier to just absolutely annihilate ults and annihilate ult fire and all that when they were going at the Zen. And then once they said they were reworking her to make her more of like an aggressive, everyone sort of looked at it as like they weren't too sure as if Diva was gonna still be in meta, but then they realized that it could be played more aggressively. And then when her missiles got released and everyone saw that her missiles did so much more damage than they thought,
Yeah.
everyone was like, this is better than what defense matrix could have been. And back then you couldn't shoot while defense matrixing either.
Yeah.
So if you
right.
flew in, you just had to defense matrix or you had to shoot and risk having your teammates lose a chunk of health or just generally just getting killed. So most of the time you either had to just straight defense matrix and then do damage after your team was able to get in, or you just did damage and possibly lose a teammate. But I'd say definitely now where Diva's sort of looking towards a DPS tank than it is a more supportive tank.
Yeah.
As like how Zarya is. I would say Zarya, you can still frag with Zarya. It's just she's more of a supportive tank because of her bubbles and her charge can just annihilate anyone.
And one thing about Diva too is that she's the only character in the game that has like a second life essentially, right? Once you get her out of mech, she's still viable in the field. Like she can shoot, she can do a lot of stuff, you know. So
Bunny Blaster OP.
Yeah, like exactly. So she's one of those characters that a lot of people will say is overpowered because of that. That alone will make her like pretty invincible. All right, so with that in mind, right? Once you figured out how to play Reinhardt, and once you figured out like what clicked and how to work him and how to work around other people's comps and just tanks in general, because obviously you were good at Diva as well, and you played a lot of Reinhardt. So once you're moving up the ranks, right? And you know, like I saw your progression from Diamond to top 500. What was the biggest difference? What did you see, and how did you have to adapt to ladder in order to be able to get better and just, you know, try to rank up and get higher?
Through what I saw when I was climbing, I don't know if it is the same for other people, but as a tank player, as you start to climb, and because you're not really playing, you have to play more with the team in a sense, because as you climb the ranks, more and more people have better game sense and have better mechanical skill, so they really know what they're doing and they can really punish you if you're too aggressive and if you get in a sense too cocky and you just sort of run at them. Then you sort of just have to realize, okay, I've got to play more with my team. I've got to play sort of a more shield than more swing in a sense.
Yeah.
And especially since during when I was climbing, as the meta started to switch over, like once Brig got released, everyone was like, okay, we can't run dive anymore. This character just completely counters dive. And now we're going to have to, and then everyone switched to these tank heavy comps. And especially when Moira was first released, way before Brig was, everyone looked at, okay, this is another healer that we can burst heal with. And we can pretty much just gain a lot of ult charge and just run a tank heavy comp. And that's how the 4 tanks, 2 supports came out with Lucio and Moira. You could just run these tank heavy comps, run your DPS on Diva and Hog, and then just let your 2 tanks play Rein Zarya and just and because no one really knew how to counter, like who do you focus? Do you focus the Diva that's in mech? Do you focus the Hog that's an ult charge battery? Or do you focus the Rein and Zarya that are able to keep each other alive running at you? Or is there a way that you can get past all those 4 and possibly counter and get their supports? But I would say generally
that slambulance, right? Like we've played that slambulance before, and it's so it's the tanks, especially Rhines, are so oppressive in the slambulance, because unless you have an ononade and keep him from healing, you just swing your hammer constantly, be so aggressive. So I can see how that's like really fun for Reinhardt.
But I would say definitely as you progress, there's a lot, at least back when I was climbing, there was better games. Players had better game sense and better mechanical skill, because you ran into people who could, like, in like Diamond or Plat, you run up against a Widow, it's like, oh, that's no real problem, because in like Diamond and Plat, there's a significant gap in mechanical skill, because a lot of them just depend on aim assist and not generally like clicking for the heads. They're just hoping to get a bunch of body shots in a row and hopefully
Yeah.
just doing enough damage that their team can follow up on. Whereas as you climb higher and you get into like Masters and GM, there's a lot more of like Widow duels, Tracer duels, and even some in like other hit scan duels just being taken. And it's really just more, I would say it's harder for tanks to just full carry mode sometimes, because
Okay.
if you lose a DPS or you lose a support, and then what ends up happening is you lose basically one of your tools to keep you alive.
Yeah. So basically, like you have
Rev
less
it
of a
up!
chance to like frag out because
Yeah.
there's not that much room for error, right? The players you're playing
Mhm.
against have better aim, they have better game sense, they know what to do in certain situations. So you can't just go in there and frag out and just know that if you move left or right or if you strafe a little bit and just hit them,
Mhm.
like it doesn't matter. These guys will counter you. They'll hit you in the head. They'll click heads, and it won't matter. So I
Yeah.
get what you're saying. The higher you go, the harder it gets, obviously, and the better but also the better your teammates, right? Sometimes, obviously, you wouldn't be able to climb unless you had better teammates overall. So that's another thing. So now moving away from the ladder, let's talk about CGO real quick, because I think Console
Mhm.
Gaming League is we were on a team together that was in the middle of a transition season during the CGL. So we started out when they were the OXC, right? When they were the
Yeah.
Overwatch Xbox community. So how was your experience last season in CGL, and what was the finals like? Because obviously we won the champion with
Mhm.
Kinetics in season 5. So how was the CGL season overall, and how did it help you as a player, and what were the final likes?
I would after they made the transition from OXC to CGL, even in the early parts of OXC during that season, I would say it's a sort of like the Overwatch League. If a player pops off and is doing really well and they're getting recognition for it, then people start to look and they're like, "Oh, if this is how they are in tournament play or in league play, I don't want to face them on ladder and this and that."
Yeah.
So I would say generally in the CGL last year, I had a blast generally because I was having fun. I was doing what I love, just playing video games and pretty much winning. And plus, I was also climbing the ladder, and it also helped bring my game to another level because I was able to go from CGL and playing CGL and playing at a level that I would say is higher than ranked play, because the competition in CGL is so much better than ranked play. And even just scrimming on a daily basis against some of those teams, like you come up against different play styles every week. And even every day when you scrim, you just come up against different play styles, and it's unlike ranked because they're more CGL, they're more coordinated and they're more, I would say, then they think better than the average ranked player, I would say. Because end of the day, everyone's playing for the same thing. They're playing to become the champion, and they're playing to become remembered in sort of the history of the CGL. And especially now with the prize pools and all that,
Yeah.
it's there's a lot more to play for. And I would say just the general growth of the CGL is good because it's also putting console Overwatch on the map. Because
Absolutely. Yeah.
if you can set up this one league that you can show all these players off, and then hey, maybe down in the future Blizzard's going to host a LAN for the CGL and playoffs and all that, and it will just be like another mini contender. It will just be a mini contenders that people can watch. Especially since I would say a lot of the player base is console based because console's easier to obtain in at least the states, that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like Korea where they have access to internet cafes and they're able to go down there and just play Overwatch.
Yeah, the esport culture in Korea is just it's almost part of the Korean culture itself, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a respected thing over there. And here it's still, people still
It's
see it
building.
that it's just video games, right? But it's still sort of like it's trying to evolve a little bit more.
Well, the funny thing about it is it's building because most colleges now, a few colleges that I know of, and all that, they're starting to offer scholarships
Oh
for
yeah, yeah,
people to play
absolutely.
video games, and and all that, and especially if like someone's good at the game and they've just been playing it all through like their life in high school and this that whatever, and if they have a real shot at like taking it somewhere, and some of these colleges are also offering like esports management classes where they're teaching people about just the culture of esports and how much it's growing. And
Absolutely, yeah.
I would say by the time I would say probably within like the next 10 years or so, it's probably going to become a recognized profession,
Oh
just
yeah.
esports in general,
Oh yeah,
because
yeah,
of how many
absolutely.
people because of how fast it's grown and how
Yeah.
like easy it is for these developers to like make these games and all that. And it's easier to take the feedback off of Reddit and or like the forums, and game developers can go back in and look at it and polish up the game.
Hmm.
But I would say the CGL is good for any like player that wants to bring themselves to a higher level than ranked. Because
Yeah.
I would say all of last season throughout it, I had so much fun. And then when we got down to the finals, I would say it just helped a lot more playing throughout that season because even I don't necessarily call my I don't like sometimes I don't like to brag and all that, but I would say it was pretty even throughout all of the finals. Even the caster said it at one point that it was so even pretty much to like the final map, and it was just
Absolutely.
fractions.
I mean, it was 99-99 all the way to the end. We played Lijiang Tower and on Control Center, and it was 99-99, and we just happened to get the last 99. So obviously, it was just tit for tat right there, right? So like, so we know that obviously your experience in the CGL was just a higher level of playing field, right? Like ranked is one thing, but obviously CGL is the next level, right? Like if you want to
Yeah.
better your game, if you want to, essentially, I think if you want to play the game the way it was meant to be played, which is as a team game, then CGL is a perfect place for you, right? Because that's the place where you can hone
Yeah.
your skills with a group of individuals who are like-minded as yourself. You get to play
Mhm.
with people who you're good with on a daily basis. You get to grow as synergy, as opposed to rank, where who knows? You could go into a game
Yeah.
and there'll be somebody who leaves, or there'll be somebody who throws, or there'll be somebody who only plays
Who just
hamster.
kills. Yeah.
Like so. There's a lot of things that 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 happens now. um so that's a big thing. So CGL is definitely important. Now um let's talk about the meta real quick, because and before I talk about the meta, I want chat to know that if you have any questions for Dizzy, start asking them now. Like, make sure you get them through, and then that way, if by the end of the show, if we have any important questions that we can get through to Dizzy, we'll ask him here, and then we can check them out. But let's talk about the meta real
Mhm.
quick and where it's at, because I know how your personal growth has been throughout the game. I know that when we started CGL,
Mhm.
you went from somebody who was playing Diva and basically had to get used to Reinhardt to becoming a really good Reinhardt. Like essentially
Yeah.
throughout the season of CGL, like we saw your growth. I mean, it was. Let's be honest, it was a
Mhm.
walking joke that you didn't block shatters at times. So
Oh.
there was times where I know I was like, yeah, I'm with Dizzy. He has a shield up. Oh no, he doesn't. I'm on the ground. I'm shattered. So like, but eventually that became less of a thing, right? You became more aware of
Yeah.
it. It became something that you got a lot better at. Now, right now, with the way the meta is, I've noticed, I know you noticed, obviously, because you're playing the character, but you've been playing a lot more Orisa, right? Like
Mhm.
you've been playing in ladder a lot. You have current, I believe, if I'm not correct, you have more time on Orisa than Reinhardt currently, right?
As of right now, it's an hour for both of them, but Orisa beats out Ryan just barely because I've had
Okay.
to play, especially like in like GM, especially just in generally in ranked, you can't really solo queue anymore and hard carry and climb like you used to. Now you sort of have to either stack or you duo, and in this case, I'm duoing most of the time. But Orisa is one of those situational characters that you can like payload maps. You run the pirate ship, protect the bastion, pretty much, or like if you have Sanctum or Well, where you can just get where you can get the environmental kills and sort of have like that multi kill for a highlight or a montage that. And Orisa is just really useful because it's sort of in a way her bongo is like basically a mercy damage boost, and
Yeah, yeah.
it's a lot more. So what I've noticed from playing like seasons of Overwatch is as the meta changes, the meta swings in goes back and forth between certain characters. Like we saw it was with Dive, Brig gets released, Dive goes away for like good few seasons, and then we come out with this Goats comp and all that, and that was pretty much the meta for an extended period of time up until now, and Brig gets completely hard nerfed into the ground like Mercy did back before the butterfly meta.
Yeah.
And I would say like now
let's call it what it is. It was the moth meta. There was nothing beautiful about the butterfly.
It was the moth meta. It was annoying, but it's either the moth or the butterfly. It's either one. It's whichever you want. But Orisa, I would say there's a bunch of situational, like tanks are situational sometimes. Like Ryan and Zarya are good for just taking points, taking the payload, and generally just capturing any sort of objective that you need to.
Yeah,
Orisa and Hog, they're more brawler shaped, and then like Orisa and Hog are more bunker, more stationary, more you come to us, we don't go to you. You have to come to us and fight us. And then Winston and Diva and Hamster are go fast and basically just jump them when they don't expect it.
Yeah, exactly. So and that's what I like about the tanks, right? They have each type of they have like a distinct play style, right? So, obviously Zarya and Reinhardt go together because they're both not very mobile, but very brawly. You got things like a Roadhog and Orisa. They're very stationary. They can exactly. They have their bunker situation, and you have mobile tanks like Diva, Winston, and Hammond, and they're very good at being mobile. So, all right, so let's go to a few of the chat questions because I got a few good ones here. So, in the chat, someone asked, "Do you play games like League or Call of Duty?"
Most recently, I would say I've played League a couple times in the past few months. I just got COD 4, so I've played that a couple times, but generally I would say I stick to more of playing first-person shooters like Overwatch and like CS when I was able to play it. And I don't mind stepping out of my comfort zone and trying new games and that and playing League. Like I've done it multiple times in the Discord where I've asked if anyone wants to play League and stuff like that. Because I don't play games just generally to play games. I play games to have fun and play them with people so that it's just fun. I just play for fun, really. Sometimes,
and I feel like League is a good game for your play style because it's very strategic. It's all about positioning. It's very much kind of like what Tank is like for Overwatch. It's all about game sense and how you play it. So League is like one of those games that definitely, and
it's a team based game as well.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. All right. Another question is it Christmas year round in your room?
All right. This is a result of being in like the middle of like December and not wanting to take down anything. I know it's January now, but if no one knew, like my family's Christian, so this is just sort of there for, and it's just we don't want to put it away. It looks nice back here.
Let's be honest, it's just laziness.
It's just laziness, but it's good fillers. It's a good filler for the space behind me. Let's be honest.
Okay. All right. Another question is, what do you get on your fries?
Wait, what?
What do you get on your fries? What do you put on your fries? Is it strictly ketchup? Are you a mustard person? Are you weird and go with barbecue? What's the situation with your fries?
I can get into a whole debate about putting certain foods on other foods because there's pineapple on pizza. I absolutely hate it. I don't care what anyone says. It does not belong there.
All right, listen here, bud. All right, we're going to have a fundamental difference here.
The whole thing with the fries, I would say, is sometimes it's like a mix. Like I'll get ketchup one day, sometimes I'll get mustard, and sometimes I'll just mix the two together, and because it's a nice combination, I would say.
Yeah. Well, okay, so another question here, not necessarily a serious one, but when will we see you in the New York Excel roster?
Well, never, because I'm not from New York, first of all.
Oh, that's true. That's right. Well, that's only for XL2 Academy, obviously, right? But I guess that kind of answers the question.
And also, like, I'm not Korean, so this is unlucky.
Yeah. All right. So that's all the questions that we have. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the first episode of Off the Wall. This is our pilot episode. From here on out, we're going to have more prominent members of the Xbox and PlayStation community. We won't forget about PlayStation people. We definitely want to have as many of all the community members as we can. We'll try to get a diverse group of people. Next episode is probably going to be the one and only Lame Sauce, the person who made the tournament that everybody's talking about. So we'll get to talk to him about his tournament and stuff like that. If you want to get notified whenever we go live, check us out on Twitter. Personally, me, twitter.com/dazzle167. Follow me over here, and you can get notified whenever I go live. I will also tweet it. Make sure you check that out. Check out my Discord down below in the links. There should be a Discord for my Kinetics community Discord. You can talk to me. You can talk to Dizzy. Dizzy's in there too if you want to hang out with us. I know a lot of people in the chat right now. They're also in there, so you can chat with them as well. There's a lot of top 500s, lots of masters, a few diamonds. We have a mixed group of people, so it's a good way to go. So we'll have a lot of stuff. This is very important for everybody to know here, though, is that this show is about you guys, right? This is where we showcase you. So if you have something that you want to showcase, if you're the best Junkrat on the box, or if you are the best Mercy on the sticks, you let me know. I will look out for you. We will try to get you on. We're going to try to get as many players as we can. We'll get some owners to talk about stuff. We'll get some interesting Overwatch people from the console league. Dizzy, where can we find you? What stream do you stream? How often do you do that? Tell us all the information everybody wants to know about where they can find you.
So I do stream. I do stream quite a bit, I would say, when I can, mainly when my internet isn't being shitty. But you can find me over at twitch.tv/Dizzywhitelaw, and on Twitter and Instagram you can find me at Dizzywhitelaw there as well.
There you go.
I'll usually notify on Twitter when I'm live, or I'll just ping people in Discord and be a nuisance.
Follow him on Twitter. Check out our Discord. He'll be live on there too. You'll get notified. Check him out on Twitch, twitch.tv/Dizzywhitelaw. Definitely somebody to watch. The upcoming CGL season. You're going to be on it. I know, because I put you on there. So I definitely know you're going to be competing. I know people are going to be excited about watching you. I know Salt and Pepper is definitely going to be excited about watching you. We're looking to retake the mantle of the rival, or in this case, Masters champion. So I know that we're going to be able to work towards that as well. So everybody, remember, this is your show. This show's about you, about the community, about everybody in Overwatch console tier. So let me know. DM me. Check me out on Twitter. Just keep it live. Just keep letting me know about everything. And that's about it. Dizzy, you want to say bye to the people?
I have one more thing to say. If anyone has any other extended questions, you can head over to my Twitch, give me a follow there, and I'll probably be streaming later tonight, maybe. And I might play on some Smurf accounts. But other than that, just make sure you follow everything. Follow my Twitch, my Twitter, my Instagram, because I'll usually just hang out on Twitter when I'm live. And yeah, I'll answer any questions anyone really has about the game in general, or just general tank play.
Perfect. All right. Well, that is Dizzywhitelaw over there, or should I say over here, right? There we go. Dizzywhitelaw right over there, top 500 tank main. I'm your boy, Dazzle167, one of your favorite Lucios, let's be honest. And this has been Off the Wall. Everybody, thank you for joining us, and I'll see you next time.